What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Future Knight Eric here, and I'm coming at you with an updated Labrynth Deck Profile post Rage of the Abyss. I know a lot of my subscribers and followers follow me specifically for my updates on the Labrynth Deck Profile, and yeah, I thought it was about time to do my list going into this next format, with Snake Eyes being the absolute best deck on top once again. I do think that Labrynth has a really good chance this format, not being susceptible to most of the hand traps that people are playing. Gives it a really good chance to counteract the meta, being really good against the Mulchamis, especially if they're ill-timed. And yeah, I thought I would share my list. I did obviously take a Labrynth, not this list, to YCS Lil not too long ago. I did unfortunately have to drop out of the main event, going 3-2-1, 3 wins, 2 losses and a draw, but I did really well in side events, both with this deck as well as Kashtira. In fact, my Kashtira profile that I used in the Mega Challenge at the YCS, I recently won a locals with. That deck profile you can find on my channel. But yeah, without further ado, I think we can just get into the deck profile. At this point, a lot of the viewers, or I expect a lot of the viewers who are going to watch this video, know what the cards do, but we can get into some interactions and discussion points as to why I made certain card choices. The list is also very much based off of a lot of the topping profiles. I just had to pick whether I was going to go towards the furniture end or the trap heavy hand, but being that I've always preferred the trap version, I ended up going for the trap version. So to start, we obviously play our 3-lady Labrynth. I think in the pure trap version now, you're minimizing a lot of the normal summons and cards that are susceptible to hand traps in order to play 3 of this. Even in normal versions of Labrynth, playing 3-lady was oftentimes correct. It was just a space issue that you always had to play 2. And then obviously in furniture you play 1 because you have such easy access to it. I also opted to play 1 Ariana just for some consistency. You'll see with the very next card that I opted not to play any pots in this deck, and that's due to the very next card. So I just wanted another card that gave me a little bit of consistency, and a card that makes big a little bit more valuable and useful in the grind game. The very next card is actually Arius. So I love Arius, it's my favorite Labrynth card, and I decided that I wanted to still play it in some capacity. You'll see that this list is very similar to Joshua Smith's list that he played at YCS Lil, but instead of the 3 sphere mode, I opted to play the 3 Arius, and I think it's just because it's a part of engine, but it also serves as a hand trap, and in a deck where I'm playing so many normal traps, it's almost always live. It also randomly doesn't conflict with certain cards. So for instance, Card of Demise, if you draw into an Arius in a trap, you're not discarding the Arius in the end phase off of your Card of Demise. In fact, you can just use the Arius and set the trap, and if it's later in the game, what ends up happening is you get to use that trap the turn you set it, as you've drawn it off of Card of Demise, which I think is really, really strong. Essentially the same theory or concept as Shifter, in the sense that whatever trap I'm setting is hopefully skipping my opponent's turn. So not really as powerful as I would say as Sphere Mode is, but I just feel like having more engine that also serves as non-engine can help the deck a lot. And it also allows for play that I'm very fond of, that you'll probably see in all my deck profiles, involving setup, which I'll get to when I get to the spells. Then of course we are playing the brick. I drew this card every single match that I played over the entire YCS Lil. Every single match. I actually kept a little tally, and I think the giant card day, that was the Friday, I played 5 rounds. That's all I played that day. Drew it at least once per match. In the main event, it was 6 rounds before I dropped. Drew it at least once per match. And then I played 1 on-demand event, and that was just a 3-round sort of like 8-man locals. I drew it every single match, and then after that I switched to Kashtira. But it is a necessary evil. It's the best card in your deck. You have to play it. So a little bit more of a beefier Labrynth lineup than we're used to seeing with the pure trap version. But like I said, the Aureus is very easily interchangeable for either Shifter or Sphere modes, especially if your locals or if your bigger events are flooded with meta cards. The card that I was just speaking about that Aureus makes accessible is Labrynth Setup. So I still very much am an advocate for the Trap Trick Aureus play, that when you draw the Trap Trick Aureus, you go Aureus, set Trap Trick into either of the welcomes, summon Ariana, Ariana adds Setup, shuffle back the banished welcome and one of the other welcome that you use to summon, set any 2 trap cards. I don't see a reality where if you're setting any 2 trap cards into any matchup, you're losing. And for that reason, I think it's worth playing. Yes, it does play into that Ash early game, but it means that you can then summon out your Aureus from your graveyard, and there's a couple of really interesting plays that you can do. So for instance, when you use your Aureus to get your trap trick, you normal summon the Ariana. If the Ariana gets impermed, veiled, whatever, you chain your Aureus to summon, and then in your opponent's turn, you can use Big Welcome to bounce the the Aureus, and then your Ariana will trigger drawing your card. And if you draw another trap card, your Aureus can then be used to make that trap card live. So the value you get off of the setup play, even if it's interrupted, is really strong. Of course, once again, the most difficult interruption to play around is Ash. If they do Ash the welcome that you set off of Trap Trick, it's very rough because all you're doing then is summoning the Aureus. But again, you can then send the Aureus to set a trap from your hand and use it in case you're scared of cards like Cosmic or Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster. I am, of course, like I said earlier, with my explanation, Aureus playing card demise. If you draw the Aureus off of this, you can very easily discard it to set a trap. If you draw other monsters with it, you can simply just let it resolve and send your Aureus to grave, but now you have a body in grave that can float. This is just an insane card. If you draw into a lady, obviously it's not great. If you draw into Ariana, it's not terrible because once again, it's not a special summon, so you can normal summon it, and that gives you some really good advantage. I think that's just also a really good reason just to play the one Ariana. This card is absolutely insane. And that's it. That's it for spells. So again, like I said, no pots. We're just playing the 2 spell cards, and then a little bit of a beefier Labrynth lineup, but the monster lineup is still relatively small. Then moving into our trap cards, we're obviously playing the 3 big and we're playing the 3 welcome. I think a lot of people in their deck profiles have mentioned or said how the normal welcome is a lot better in this deck. The Ariana plus the RS in the setup means that both are really good. It actually doesn't matter because the Ariana gives you an extra body to have to bounce off of your big welcome to trigger the lovely to pop a card. That's it for the engine, and then of course this is going to look pretty standard. I mean, I think the trap lineup at this point is pretty self-explanatory. I am debating at a local level cutting 1 cannon, simultaneous equation cannon, just because of the element of rogue that comes from playing at locals. I don't think that it'll come up as often. I mean, I think I played an OTS championship and I played against Sprite, and this card was just dead. Against Tempai can get a little bit awkward, so for the rogue element of locals, this isn't the greatest card, so I definitely think it is worth cutting to 2, and the card I would replace I'll mention a little bit later. But if you're going into a very competitive setting or a regional or any two event, I would obviously play this. This card is crazy into both Ubel and Snake Eye. That's it for the cannons. Then the new addition to the deck, this is one of the few decks that can actually play Dominus Impulse. This card is insane. Absolutely insane. There's a little 3-card combo. Of course 3-card combo sounds insane, but it does happen where you draw Impulse, Lady, as well as Imperm, and it's literally the most broken play you can do, because you can go Imperm on a whatever special lady, and then you can activate Dominus Impulse from your hand, and then you can chain the lady to set big for follow-up plays with Lovely, which is insane. Like, yes, it's a 3-card combo, but you're playing all of these cards at 3. The hands like that do happen, which is absolutely insane. Yeah, but this card is fantastic. Just being able to set it and then use it normally as a trap card or use it as a hand trap is just absolutely broken. Then more generic 2 of traps. This I did take, I suppose, directly from Joshua Smith. I mean, the trap cards that you played in this deck were pretty self-explanatory for the main part. 2 Compulse, 2 IDP, 2 Deep Area. I wish I could play 3 IDP, but it being a hard one spittoon doesn't warrant it. A card I actually really don't like, Terrors of the Overroots. I really don't like this card, but I can understand why it's important to play this, because it also serves as back row removal. Or non-monster removal, which a lot of the other cards don't offer, and I think for that reason it needs to be played. Then the card that I would bump up to 3 if I cut Cannon down to 2 is Imperm. I think just having another layer of monster negation on field is really important, especially when you're trying to resolve your big trap cards like Karma Cannon or Simultaneous. Just to stop an Omni from stopping your trap is really strong. So I definitely think I'd play this at 3. The deck is at 41 now. The setup being a hard brick means that I won't play 40, but 42 does seem quite solid as well. I topped both of my states playing 42, so I think definitely worth putting in the 3rd, or considering it at least. Then the card that makes the setup playable possible, Trap Trick, Fallen Trick. This card's broken. Like, actually, it might actually be the most broken card in the deck, now that I think about it. Like, this gives you access to everything, any good trap card, engine, absolutely insane. And then finally, we're playing the 3 Solemn Strike. No skill drain, no floodgates, and I think that's just for the sheer reason that it doesn't add anything to the deck. You kind of want your ladies on board, although this is lady beatdown, you do want them to be live, to just continue that protection effect, continue cycling through the traps that you need to keep playing and keep winning. And that is the main deck, so that is 41 cards. I'm so glad that I finally was able to max raid this deck. It's absolutely stunning. We will go into, I guess we'll quickly do the extra deck. So for the most part, it is just math. So we've got 6, 5s, 4s, and 3s. We're obviously playing the Dantes. I need to get QCRs just for this because Burning Abyss is not a real deck anymore, unfortunately. The King of Heavy Industry, a weird one, I know. When I was initially building the math extra deck, I was basing it off of the player who topped with the math cannon first. I'm pretty sure, like historically, it was at UK Nats, and he was playing Punishment as well. And my logic was, I'm just going to find the biggest rank 5s humanly available that is an insane prize card or something, and this is 3200 attack, so that's the only reason. The Dantes are just because I like Dante. I played Burning Abyss. It was like my first ever real deck. These cards actually do kind of come up because we're playing the Arius. I have actually made a Caesar before, which is kind of crazy, which makes me want to at least play the laws, Evolves on laws as well. So I do need to get a copy of that because they do come up sometimes. Another thing that's really interesting that a lot of people don't know is that Arius can actually summon Arius. So if you Arius summon Arius and then use a trap or whatever, carry on a combo, and they try and interact with you at all, you can summon back your second Arius from the grave, and then you can just make one of these, which is pretty broken. It actually does come up, believe it or not. Baguska's obviously does come up, and then Granite only comes up. Granite and Baguska, I suppose, only come up with runic cards, which I'm not playing this time around, but it's pretty much always available to just throw in. I felt like the runic cards just aren't high impact enough. I'd rather have more removal traps to deal with my opponent's boards. So that's it for the X, Y, Z's for the math, and then the rest is just math stuff. I was too lazy to find different stuff, even though I'm not playing runics, but it's always good just to have. So just a quick change to put in the runics. Probably the imperms I would change to the runic cards, but like I said, for the time being, I'm not too convinced. The last card, I don't play a 7 because Yubel right now is not the best deck, although there are a lot more running around here in South Africa. This last flex spot I really like, whether it's Typhon or it's Chaos Angel, because you can make it with Arion and Arius, or it's Muckracker, which is probably more likely. I do think that the runic cards make Muckracker and Typhon a lot better, because you can actually, in fact, they also make Chaos Angel a lot better because you can make Hugin, which is a light level 2. But I think this flex spot should always be available. I don't think the 7 is necessary, and I think just having a 1 flex spot where you can play a card that's just random blowout, because as soon as you're playing this and they don't see furniture, they know you're on Math Cannon, so they don't really expect anything to come out of your extra deck, and just having that 1 card that does, I think, is really impactful. For the side deck, this is pretty much straight from Joshua Smith, with some changes, obviously, because I'm not main decking the Sphere mode. 3 Lord, you go first, you put this in. I mean, it's not much to talk about. We're doing the 3 Lava, the 3 Sphere, and the 3 Evenly. I think this is a little bit overkill. In my cash deck profile, I was playing 3 Sphere, 3 Evenly, 3 Dark Hole, which is exactly the same thing in theory. But I think this is a bit overkill in the sense that Arius should be slowing down the opponent quite substantially. I don't know which one to cut. I don't know if it's Evenly. I don't know if it's the Lava Golems. The Sphere modes will always stay in. I know what I would cut them for. I would cut them for the Judgments that I'm currently not playing. And the reason I'm not playing the Judgments is I opted for the DDG and Clock package. Because I'm playing the 1 Ariana, it means that any access to Engine plus Lord is any trap in your deck that you can activate the turn that it's set. So what I mean by that is, if you have Lord and Welcome and you reveal Lord, nothing else, 2-card combo, and your opponent obviously starts their turn, you can go Welcome, summon Ariana, then you go chaining 1 Ariana, chaining 2 Lord, which actually chain blocks, which is incredible. You then summon the Lord, add Clock, and then you set any trap off the Lord. You can then activate the Clock, and then any trap in your deck is live. I think that's really, really strong. I did side it as well for the YCS, and it actually came up way more than I ever thought. It actually made me want to main deck it, but of course main decking it is a pure brick, especially with very low copies of Ariana. With more copies of Ariana, I might consider it, because then you can Ariana search your Welcome and then Clock and then carry on from there. But I think for this list, how I've built it or theorized it, it's definitely good in the side. And that's pretty much it for the deck profile. I don't know how long this has been. Obviously, I can talk about Labrynth for days. It is literally my favorite deck of all time. But I think this is a really solid list moving into this format. Like I said, I haven't actually been playing this since YCS Lil, which was a completely different list. We didn't have Dominus Impulse for that one. But I do think that this is a really strong contender for one of the better anti-meta choices. And yeah, not much else to say. Thank you so much for joining me for this deck profile, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Future Knight signing out. If you were wondering what all the squeaks and barks during the video were, it was because of this one. This is Ray, my sausage dog. If you're seeing this at the end of the video, in your comments somewhere, put a little dog emoji. But yeah, thanks guys for watching.